Sam. This is just a quick look at the books I picked up today at Half Price Books. So we don't have very many used bookstores. We have Half Price Books and we have the little bookstore at our library. And I had some books to divest myself of. And we had brought, I don't know, like 12 or so boxes of books to the library recently to donate to them, and I felt kind of bad about making so much work for them. I used to work in a library, so I know what goes into that. So I had one last little box, and I said, you know what, we haven't been to Half Price Books in a while, and the library bookshop is probably now comprised mostly of my old books, so so we decided we'd go over to Half Price Books and give that last box to them and, you know, shop around for some stuff. So that's what we did, and everybody got a little something, but I always have a good time finding stuff. So I'm just going to show you what I found, what I picked up. If you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts. Here's Tokyo Ever After, which is a book I had heard of. I think there's even a sequel. A friend of mine read it and kind of liked it. I think she probably gave it 3 stars, but I still have not managed to make my trip to Japan. I was supposed to go in 2020. We all know what happened there. I'm still planning to go hopefully in the next year or two, just to feed me a little. In the meantime, I chose that one. It's a YA book about a girl who is like living in Northern California. She's got a single mom, and she finds out through a little digging she might be Japanese royalty, I think. So it sounds like fun. It's a cute, maybe YA premise. Another book I picked up was Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. I've actually never read any Ann Patchett, and this sounds like interesting enough a place to start. I think it's about some sisters who return to like the old homestead house, something, very literary fiction-esque. I also picked up this copy of Congo, Michael Crichton's Congo. This is the exact cover paperback version I had decades ago when I went through my Michael Crichton phase as a middle schooler. I went through that whole thing where I was reading them all, and for some reason Congo has been one that's harder to find. I've managed to nab some used paperback copies of like Timeline and you know, and I obviously have actually a really nice copy of Jurassic Park. And anyway, I don't know when I'll reread Congo, but at some point I almost certainly will. Also, my youngest is interested in sci-fi, fantasy, that kind of thing, and so I'm encouraging him to try some Michael Crichton, so this might be a good one for him too. My favorite thing to find when I'm browsing are really old, like historical fiction, gothic romance type things, okay? So this one, English Rose by Jacqueline Martin. So this is from 1982, you know, and it has like, you can pause to read that if you want. It just has, you know, that fun kind of, there's just something about them. This one is Destiny's Embrace by Cheryl Flournoy, author of Flames of Passion. Ooh, here, I'll read it to you. Please tell me it's not true. Temple Harris begged to be released from her living nightmare. Her father lay dying, and before her stood a man who claimed her hand for his son. Temple's life would be payment in full for an old debt, a debt of honor. So, yeah, I'm a sucker for this kind of thing. And then finally, not that I need more bookmarks. Actually, I probably do. I leave them scattered. I lose them constantly. I'll find them again. They're all over the house. Sometimes I'm just using, you know, the library receipt or the sales receipt. But this fun Stranger Things Never Forget Barb bookmark, it was funny because I asked my middle child, I said, oh, I don't need any more bookmarks, do I? Because there are a lot of bookmarks that just have initials, and I have several that just have an M on them. And I was looking at new designs that have big M's on them, and I was like, oh, I don't need more bookmarks, do I? And middle child was like, no, you do not. But then I was like, oh, but look at this one. And middle child was like, yeah, you you might need that one. So I got permission to buy this bookmark. But yeah, it's a very, you know, a demure haul. We got a really nice illustrated copy of Dante's Divine Comedy because it has the Gustave Doré illustrations, which I love. I actually have some framed of those illustrations, some framed prints. Well, I assume they were taken out of a larger version of the book. Like the trim size was quite large. But I remember we found them in a bookstore in Boston, these prints from the Divine Comedy, and I think at least one of them might be from Paradise Lost as well, of the Doré. So anyway, when we saw middle child is interested in Dante, has just read the Dante Club. So when we saw that very nice kind of, it's the Longfellow translation with the Doré illustrations, we grabbed that, but I think middle child has already absconded with it. I'm reading a library book, that library book that I talked about in the last video. I like it. I'm gonna definitely have thoughts when it's done, but I am about 25% of the way through it, maybe even 30% of the way through it. It's a pretty quick read so far, so that'll be next up on the channel. And then maybe I'll read one of these and let you know what I think of them. Like I said, if you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. It's not like they were expensive, but if I've wasted my money, let me know. I guess I can always bring them back and get something else. But until next time, take care.